Justin Bozak. I'm running the show today. We had the opportunity to have two amazing guests. They just flew in. They're going to be here for the weekend. First up, we got my man Justin Gaethje, a UFC top contender, currently ranked number 4 in the lightweight division. And my co-host for the day, we got the infamous Mike Barker from Hero Sports, representing from Texas.
That's right. Tejas.
Yeah, baby. So welcome, fellas. We're going to start with Justin today. We all know Justin's the most awesome name out there, so we got Justin Squares. You're my first guest named Justin on the show, so welcome. Just wanted to get into maybe your path and journey as a fighter. Where did it start? Maybe what are some of the things you learned along the way? I mean, whatever backstory you want to run into.
I mean, kind of the short story. I have a twin brother. I came home. I think we were wrestling each other. Right from the beginning. My dad was always there. Always our quarterback. He's always outside with us. Always, I was never inside. I remember we had about 10 kids our age in our neighborhood, and we were always outside playing baseball, playing football, playing cops and robbers, anything.
Manhunt.
Yep, manhunt. We tore the fences down for playing football, knocking each other into the fences. So, just starting having that, so growing up in a small town, having living in a neighborhood with that many kids my age, having a twin brother, I think really inspired the competition side in me. It was started from day one, and it's gone. My parents put me in wrestling at 4 years old with my twin brother, and then we started traveling at like 6 years old to Vegas, to Reno, to Denver, and going to all these tournaments. And so I really attribute a lot of my success in fighting into my mental game is, I think, different than a lot of people. I think a lot of people go in there and they're kind of scared, or I think what ultimately they're scared of is the things that they can't control, because there's so many things that are going to happen there that you have no control over. And for me, I just have learned from being a kid, from competing, from losing to people I should have never lost to, from beating people I should never beat. From walking on to a mat in a one-on-one competition, one-on-one setting since I was 4 years old, has really helped me to become content with the whole process of competing, of going out there and possibly losing, possibly getting, the people calling embarrassed. But I just call it part of the game.
Right. Yeah, it's lessons learned.
Yeah, so I really just try to make things as simple as possible. There's only about 5 things I can't control. About 4 things leading up, and then my effort in the fight. So, I might not win or lose, but, I'm going to shine every time.
Right. So let's talk about it. I mean, so your dad put you guys in wrestling at 4. Did he have wrestling background back in the day, or?
He wrestled, I think his last 3 years of high school.
Okay.
But it was a much different time. So where I'm from is like top 5 in the world, biggest open pit copper mine in the world.
Right.
That company, we have a company, there's a mine in Valencia, Arizona, and then down in Chile, and they're the second most producers of copper in the world. So the operation that's going on, where I'm from is like so big. It's
like runs the whole town, right? Everybody in the town
pictures wouldn't do it just. Even when you see it with your own eyes, you almost can't like put it into perspective because it's just so large, the scale of what is actually going on there. So, I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, obviously you didn't want to work in a mine. I know you did for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I did. I worked in there for a summer. That's what I was saying. So my dad, it was such a, they were on strike when he was graduating. The military came in because, copper can't stop because they're the second biggest producer of copper in the world. They can't stop. So the military came in. They were on strike. My grandpa was on strike. His dad was on strike. He was a scab crossing the line. So just the crazy times that the stories that I get to hear of those times, they were not like the stories I lived, or the times I lived through.
Right.
Being able to go and be on the swim team when I was 6, and do all the sports, soccer, it's something that he didn't necessarily do because they were working.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, how do you think that affected you? I guess growing up, because obviously.
It had a very positive effect on me because what that showed me is my dad is he's a great example. My mom and my dad. My mom's worked in the post office for I think 34 years now. My dad just retired after 35 years, 7 months. And just the hard work and dedication that they put into that. You know, a lot of people think having a job, or they take it for granted, and they really put everything in, and they sacrifice. They put themselves in massive debt just to take us places. So seeing the sacrifice that they made growing up has, again, given me a good reason to push.
That's awesome. I mean, I think they see it paid off, and I see them at the fights, and you can see how excited they are.
There's a lot of things
when you're fighting.
I mean, I can only imagine how proud my dad was to walk around the mine after a fight, and then have everybody talking to him about the fight, stuff like that. You know, it's a very different world.
For sure. Yeah, and especially coming from where you came from, small town.
Yes. So I mean, when I go, I can go out. I go out and eat dinner all the time, knowing I get recognized sometimes, but I look a lot different on TV than I do in real life. I think a lot bigger on TV.
Yeah, I think everybody looks
when
bigger.
I go home, it's like if I go to Walmart, I'm taking a lot of pictures. And,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like I'm a real superstar at home, so it's cool. I really enjoy it.
So what brought you
especially for the kids.
Right. So what brought you out to Colorado?
They were my only Division I offer to wrestle in college, and so it was thank God. I was gonna go to ASU on a small scholarship. And I came to Colorado on a small scholarship, but, I really, when I came on my recruiting trip, I really thought that, I felt at home. It was weird. I didn't know one person here, and I decided I had a girlfriend for like 5 years. I was going to leave her to come up here. It was a lot of big choices that I made then, and I'm so glad I made that choice back then.
Right. So you think that one move kind of was the shift to bring you to where you are today?
Ultimately, that led me to Trevor Wittman, Ben Charrington, the coaches that I have now that are still helping me get through this process. They're, I met them here, and if I would have stayed in Arizona, I don't think I definitely wouldn't have come across them. And, in hindsight, it's always 2020, but I don't believe I would have ever come across someone as fitting for me as I did.
Right. What are some of the lessons, I guess, you learned maybe from going through college to, maybe trying to figure out, like, what do I want to do when I get done with college? Was there anything?
It was it was all weird, from a first person perspective. It was so, I never thought about fighting.
It's kind of new still.
I'd never been in a street, like I'm talking about fighting. I'd never been in a street fight. I had a couple of big brawls in college, but never a one-on-one like scenario where I was like, okay, I'm going to fight you, and then like fight somebody. I didn't think I could fight because not that I didn't think, I had no idea if I could or not. So, I was just like, I want to try it when I was in college. And then kind of, I won 7 fights and I graduated. I got a human services degree and I was like, I'm going to try to turn professional. And then that was, I blinked my eyes a couple of times, and now I'm sitting here with you. So it just went by so fast. I never planned on being here. It was never a dream as a child, but I was always working towards this. That also helps me when I step into the cages. I know that I did my best to prepare myself for the opportunity that's in front of me. My whole life, even though I wasn't planning for this specifically, like I was planning for this, or I was working towards this. So that helps me mentally. A lot of it's when you get in there, it's the mental. It's such a swing. How it can swing so fast. Momentum is a thing in a fight, especially. It's like a big wave, and it's gonna go one way. It's gonna crash on somebody. So
right.
It's really it's a different game.
Now, was there like a risk that you thought maybe you took to kind of jump into this game? What was that feeling like when you made that decision that I'm going to go after it and I'm going to try to be different?
So it all kind of just happened. I've never sat back and thought about, I guess, what I'm doing or what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I had a human services degree, and I was like, I'm going to try to start these pro fights, and then I was making ticket sales. You're making like $2,000 a fight, and then $3,000 and $5,000. Then I fought for World Series. I made $10,000, and then $12,000, and then 16, and then 20, and then 30, and then 40. And I was like, each fight, and I just kept winning. So I was like, well, I'm just made $100,000 this year, and if I'm going to go into the line of work of human services, it's going to take me, 3 years to make that. And so I'm just going to ride this out, while I can. And then I was fighting Eddie Alvarez on pay-per-view and, coaching Ultimate Fighter. So it's really just been, I mean, I let it come as it comes. I've never thought about the process. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was 20, I thought about where I'd be when I was 30. And if I would be successful in fighting, because I had started fighting then. But
yeah, I think that's the tricky thing with fighting is there's no necessarily roadmap when you're in it, because when you're doing the local fights and selling your own tickets and selling T-shirts just to kind of make ends meet, and then you're doing all the training and stuff like that. I mean, that's not much money to make a living. Like, you're sacrificing, you're not going out to the club probably, and you're not, driving the nicest car while, maybe some other.
You're paying to compete, and it's like, where's the return?
Right.
But
it's long term. That's the thing. It's not a short term success.
To be honest with you, I knew I had it from day one. My coaches knew. Trevor Wittman, he was 2018 Coach of the Year. He knew I had it. He was working me out for free for 4 years. I would drive down from Greeley. It'd be an hour drive, and I'd work out with him, and I'd drive back. And he knew I had no money. I was giving him no money, and luckily now I'm paying him like $85,000 a year. So for the last 3 years, so I'm glad I can make that up to him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because obviously he took a chance. He spent the time and
and
obviously
that's their
saw
job.
something in you.
That's obviously what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're trying to, you put your money on your bet. You're the one you pick, anyways.
Right.
So, I think he saw something. I think wrestlers are coachable. I've been coached. I don't even know how to. You couldn't. If you asked me to teach you something, I couldn't teach you something because I've never gone into that mind space. I've always gone to learn. Luckily for me, my life's been pretty much I'm here, and I was always. Luckily, at every practice I went to, I worked my hardest. But my life has pretty much been scheduled for me. From 4 years old, I had a practice to go to. My parents took me and they dropped me off, and then I did the practice, and I came home, and I went to the next practice. And so really, it's just been scheduled. This is kind of it wasn't given to me. I worked through it, but it was the choice of me and my family. My family really made the choice, a lot of choices to put me where I'm at right now.
Were there any times, I guess, during that process between wrestling as a young kid to college where you may have wanted to quit or
no? That was the good thing. I loved it the whole time, from 4 years old to 22. Well, until 21 and probably a half. 21 and a half years into it. Last half year I was done.
Gotcha.
When I lost my last match at Nationals, I was very thankful that it was over, because I cut down to 149 my senior year after All-American at 57. I thought I'd be bigger, faster, stronger, but those are all. There's so many lessons I learned in wrestling that have helped me. When I was 16, my mom went to a wrestling tournament. There was 100. We looked at the bracket. There was 109 kids in my one bracket.
Wow.
And I looked at it, I was like, Mom, if I win this, I get a tattoo. And she's like, okay. So I was like, boom, all right, I'm getting this soon. So I went there and I pinned everybody until the finals, and I won 7-3. And it was a tournament I had never won before.
Wow.
Biggest tournament I ever, biggest bracket I ever been in. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So it was a big lesson for me is, your mental, your attitude can really determine, your actions.
So what kind of tattoos you get?
I got a cross on my arm.
There you go.
Yeah, that was my first one.
Very cool. So I think that's one thing on this show. I mean, we talk to all different people from all different walks of life, entrepreneurs, people that do charities and stuff like that. And the consistent thing is that, people all have failures, and people, we say get kicked in the teeth. I mean, not, usually not literally.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may get kicked in the teeth literally. But it's just the fortitude to kind of get back up and then keep pressing forward. And like I was saying to you guys before, I see a lot of the success for business people. I can kind of see that in the ring with just how you move. You're always moving forward. You're always pressing the action. Yeah. Doesn't matter what happens. Win, lose, you're always going to pull something out of it. And it seems like it is, an awesome passion, which is why, you can see some fighters that are very talented, but they may not have the passion to do it. They're just doing it for a paycheck. But I think what comes through the TV when I watch you fight is that you're super passionate about it. You love it. You love getting after it.
And I'm giving you, I think, the easiest thing for a human to recognize is effort, and I just give max effort.
Absolutely.
So if you don't appreciate that, then which is fine, but you're an outcast in what you're watching, and you're not part of the demographic. Yeah, you're not part of the demographic that I'm searching for or chasing. Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you should be watching golf or something.
Hey, I love golf. So
well, and the crazy part is, I mean, I've seen him fight live in the arena, I don't know, 6-7 times now, even from World Series of Fighting to UFC, and it's just a different energy. Like when he's in there,
that's a buzz.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's crazy.
Know.
You're gonna get
and then
show.
Like in between rounds, like he's turning around to the fans, like pumping them up, like let's go, like like it's just it's an adrenaline like you don't normally get as a spectator watching someone else perform a sport. So it's pretty awesome.
There's a lot of like I feel like I really thrive under pressure. Like some people try to shy away from it, and like that's my like I want the like if we're playing pool, I want the shot at the 8-ball, for the team, like just stupid things like that. But I think that really big. I say I'm a show off. When I'm competing, like if you challenge me to something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it, in spectacular fashion, as I have done my whole life. CV snowboarding, I fall better. I fall spectacularly.
Gracefully.
Yeah, I fall. And
do you see me fall?
I don't fall. I just hit the ground and bounce back up. I just use the ground to bounce up.
I'm the best faller on the snowboard.
I am the best faller on the mountain. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
So how much do you think the success actually in like the UFC, obviously the highest level of fighting right now, is mental? Because you've been in there with a lot of guys, and I'm sure you've seen guys break at a certain point that were super athletic and
I don't know,
highly
like skilled. The reason we love this so much is because all that matters, but at the same time, none of that matters. Like it's just one shot. It's going to be a confidence, but it can't be false confidence. It has to be a foundation of confidence. Like it has to be built off something. Whether it be experience, hard work, those are both. That has to be off both of those, and then genetics. Genetics play a big part. Not a little bit, a big. They test our bones at the UFC, and they told me they could not confirm or deny that I had the densest bones they've tested. So like, if you think about that, like when it comes to fighting, like, that's something super crucial,
right?
Because so when I go in there, my goal is to make my bones touch your bones. Because I'm pretty sure my bones are denser than yours. And when bones touch each other, like there's something that happens there. It's like two metal bats. One of them's going to give. One of them's going to dent or something. Something's going to give there. So my bones are dense. So I use that. And that's a little bit of confidence that I go in there with.
I can confirm that he has very dense legs.
Yeah,
for sure.
You caught a leg kicker too?
Oh yeah, I caught one.
Were you holding pads?
No, he chirps off a lot.
No, man, we were sparring out in Colorado one time, and we were playfully sparring 50% or so. And
he kicked me hard, so I was like, okay.
Bring it back.
He's like, kick me, and so I kicked him a little harder than 50%, and he goes, wait, you actually kicked me.
Like,
and then he let me have it, man. And my whole leg went numb.
Yeah, so, was that bruise?
Oh, it was good. Well, so me and another veteran buddy of mine.
Who's bigger than him?
Yeah. We're supposed to go all 3 days, and he went one day, and he didn't go back. And so I went all 3 days. They were like, man, we're going to make sure he doesn't come back. And I was like, I'm a dummy, man. I'll keep showing up. So,
he came back.
But yeah, when I went home after 3 days of getting kicked in the leg, I had a nice bruise.
Yeah, it takes a while to catch up with
I think those medic guys are tougher than infantry guys.
That's right, man. We're a different breed, man. Different breed.
Running right into the chaos.
For sure.
Literally. Here with UFC fighter, lightweight, future champion Justin Gaethje.
Yes, sir.
Mike Barker from Hero Sports. So we just covered kind of like the backstory of Justin Gaethje and how he got to where he is today. We're going to break into a little bit about where we're at now, his entry into the UFC and how he met Mr. Barker.
Cool.
So let's talk about how we met Mr. Barker.
Hero
Sports, flying into town, doing a softball game.
Yeah, it happened 5 years ago. I can't remember who Frankie Edgar was training for, but he brought me out here to be one of his training partners to replicate, the guy he was training or fighting. Mm-hmm. And it just happened that the Hero Sports guys were out here doing a softball tournament. I think they're the one they're going to do again next year, June. What is it?
June of this year.
Yeah, they're doing it again in June. So they brought me out here, and Frankie's like, hey, we're going down to the softball tournament. You want to come? And it came, and met all these guys, and I've been hanging out with them since.
That's awesome. So how was it to be in that camp and with those guys? I know they, it's told, that they roll a little bit differently as far as camps go. And how they train
if you live in Toms River, you're driving a lot to get to places, I'll tell you that.
All over the place.
That's one thing I remember is we drove all day, every day.
Driving out to Ricardo's, right?
We went to Ricardo's, and we went to a boxing gym in somewhere in New Jersey.
Did you go to Mark's house or?
Went to Mark's house. Went to Mark's pizza place.
Pino's.
Then where Frankie lived. So we were all over the place. It was like everywhere we went was like a 40-minute drive.
Yep.
It was intense. But it was being around them. I mean, it was awesome. At that time I had never, I hadn't fought at the highest level. Obviously, I was still, I don't even know if I had the belt in World Series of Fighting yet. Maybe I had just obtained that. But yeah, it was growing up, in high school and college, I was always a big fan of MMA and UFC, and Frankie Edgar's been around. He was around when I was in college, probably at the beginning of my college career. He was already fighting. So I got to watch him, growing up and just being a fan of the sport. And then, it's all been a really crazy culmination of events. Watching all these guys on TV, Edson Barboza, Cowboy Cerrone, watching them all growing up and then now fighting them. I didn't think, I don't know, I guess if I would have thought about it, I would have thought of being here, but I don't approach life like that necessarily. So, but it's really crazy to look back and see how things transpired.
Seeing how everything kind of connects.
Yeah.
And I think it's just kind of being out there and just doing your thing and just letting your actions kind of
just being out there. Mark Henry's Frankie's coach, and then 3.5, 4 years later, I was fighting Mark Henry. Twice. I didn't fight him twice. Edson had just gone to a different camp, but I fought him when I fought Eddie. So
right. I guess
it's just a crazy culmination of events.
Right.
Yeah, I think the cool part is even when Justin came to that game, not knowing really what he was going to, he didn't play in the game, but instead of being a celebrity and staying on the celebrity side, he took the time to come over to the veterans.
Yeah, I'm on your guys' team.
He's like, I want to
give me a bat, baby. Let's go.
That was the thing. He wanted to meet the guys and learn their stories and get to know them. It wasn't just I'm a fighter and I'm out here to support, but it was like, hey, I want to really, get to know you guys. And I think that's what really resonated and kind of really started to form the friendship is that once we got back, people were like, man, like that guy like really cared, so I mean, we exchanged numbers and, kept in contact and was just like, hey man, if there's ever an opportunity to, come watch you fight, I'll bring a group of vets. And, I'm sure people probably hear that a lot, all the time. And, first time, he's fighting again and we took a group, and then I think we've pretty much been to every fight since.
I get you 5 tickets every fight. They drove me for family dinner.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, even the Vancouver fight against Cowboy, I couldn't make it, but I sent a group of 5 guys from that area, from Fort Lewis McChord up in Seattle, and, we still had a group there supporting, and I think that's, and then whenever we can host them down in Texas for hunting and, do stuff like this, and it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of become more than just him supporting us, it's a friendship now. So
I think it's the other side of the coin. So it's like the awareness of realizing what's happening in the moment. Like, all right, all my guys and stuff, they're playing on the same team or whatever, but I'm going to take some time and actually, it's like a moment of kindness. You don't really think about it.
For me, it was, you like to think of that, but I was in a weird. I knew them as much as I knew the team that Frankie was on. I didn't know any. Like I think I had been here for 2 days.
Right.
1 or 2 days when that happened.
Okay.
Might have been the second day. So I didn't know that any of them. But for me, like they're from Texas. They're from the country. Like
okay.
Like I just get along better with them people.
It's a different mindset,
city folk and country folk are very different folk.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And I just, I have a bunch of family in the military, and right when I walked over there, I knew they were gonna be down to earth, and they were, and that's. I don't think, it might take away from something like building stardom or something, but I don't think I'll ever be that person.
Right.
I'll always.
Just be you.
Yeah, just do that. Whatever.
Yeah.
Last night I was pushing like 10:30 at night. It was snowing bad, and 2 ladies were stuck on this hill and they were never gonna make it home. So I freaking pushed that car for like half a mile. That sucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was like, yeah.
That's the things that people don't see.
Yeah,
though.
and then I followed them. I followed them till they got home. But it's like I don't think you deserve credit for that. It's just
just being a good dude.
Yeah, I mean, those really they make me happy. I sleep really well at night because of small things like that.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, and that's the one thing on the show we talk about with a lot of the guests is it doesn't come down to money as far as like happiness. Obviously,
no.
A lot of people, they try
Money
to make
goes.
those connections.
Money will go.
Yeah, but it's how can you be a good dude? How can you affect people? How can you bring people up? So obviously you had some opportunities where a coach grabbed you, trained you, invested his time into you.
Yeah.
So then it's like, how can I return that to some other people?
Yeah, and I try. I do a lot. I do a lot of things. My best friend's coach of a high school team. I go to their practices. I go to their duels, and I go to their tournaments, stuff like that. Ultimately, I have a human services degree, and I wanted to give back. My whole life has been my goal. My goal was never to fight. And it's kind of an oxymoron that I'm getting to be able to reach people through violence in a way to help them.
Yeah.
But it's not that, this is competition. This is not a fight to me. It's a competition, even though it's a competition with greater risks than any other competition. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you had bad blood with any of the fighters? I mean, I haven't.
Not necessarily. I mean, people have said things about, like Michael Johnson said some things about me.
Oh, you must him up.
But James Vick said some things about me. But it's never been personal. Like never, because if it becomes personal, then again, that's something that I can't control, and then I'm allowing them to control my thought process, my emotions. Like that's my number one rule: is never let another person control my thoughts or emotions. So it starts, that helps a lot with this. But yeah, that's one thing. Like no matter what in life, I would never let someone control my actions.
Head, yeah. I mean, you see,
if I'm
going to
do something, it's going to do because I choose to, not because someone pushed me there or told me to.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and just another thing outside of just supporting us, like I don't know, 4 months ago. Justin did a charitable gift where he paid off school lunches for kids at the high school or the junior high. Awesome. So I mean, little things like that, and just going back to that is talking about his parents, man. Like his parents have almost become family too. I mean, they see the veterans and myself at the fights, and it's hugs and hanging out and all that leading up to the fight. And
I was lucky. Lucky to have great parents.
For sure.
That's also what pushed me to human services because I know how lucky I am. I know that most are not as lucky as I am to have two supportive, loving, two people that are your parents that tell you they love you every day and support you no matter what, never kick you out, won't let you leave.
Right.
Things like that.
Well, and then and even when he comes to Texas now, like he stays at my house, he's wrestling with my kids, and my kids are like, Mr. Justin, it's just even when he's not there and they're like wrestling and on the ground, and one of them's playing Mr. Corey and the other one's Mr. Justin, and they're fighting, and then they're growing up with it now, and learning, one of them.
Sorry about that. They're gonna be fighters.
Yeah, well, we'll see what Mom says about that.
Yeah.
But my middle one could definitely hold his own. So, but he and that's the thing is that they've taken to the fighters coming in and spending time too, and it's literally become a family. I mean, it's not extended family, so it's pretty cool.
Right. So you're on a hot streak, knocking guys out in the first round like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, those are nice.
Obviously, we're waiting for your next match.
Yeah, me too.
There's a couple of fights coming up that could dictate kind of what happens, but I think the year 2020, it's going to be big for you because you should get a big fight here. And
I'm dealing with a lot of politics, but it's good to be in the political discussion.
Good to be in the running, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm in the running, that's for sure. I had 3 big knockouts, but just before that, I had 2 losses. So I think, I'm doing a good job at working my way back. I believe that there should be order, to how things work in this sport. I think if you win, you fight someone above you. If you lose, you fight someone below you if you're ranked. 3 big wins. I really am looking for, I want to fight Khabib, and so I want to find the surest way to that fight. In my mind, they're trying to pass Conor up through me. So I'm going to do everything I can to not let that happen. I want to fight him, but he gets to pick who he fights. He obviously does not want to fight me. So I told them. I told him a couple of days ago to set up Poirier for whatever they want.
That's smart.
Because for me, if I beat him, then they have no argument to put that man in front of me.
Right.
Especially if he won't fight me.
And it's probably better to
and
fight.
then I will have enough ammo to where if I need to punch Dana in the nose, then I'll be totally in the right.
Yeah, I mean, and it's probably a good idea to take on Dustin before possibly even Conor does. I mean, I don't.
That's what I
see
mean,
that
and
fight happening,
that too.
Yeah.
There's a couple that so I want to fight Conor because if there's any order to what we're doing, me and him fight each other to see who fights for the title next.
Right.
Khabib stated multiple times that he won't fight him. I'm sure it'd be much more of a chance of him getting that fight. Because again, Khabib,
that's big money.
I don't know him personally, but I've heard him talk many times, and he seems, he talks about principle, and I don't see him giving in unless they give him like $100 million.
Well, that's what his dad said.
I would call him like, dude, just take the fight.
But I don't think they're paying him on that.
Don't be
fight.
foolish. No, they're not. Who knows?
They multi-fight.
No one's paying him $100 million. No, $100 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, that's life-changing money.
Yeah, $100 million is life-changing money. Absolutely. But, so, and because if I fight Poirier, that means Conor can't. If Conor fights Poirier and beats him, then I have absolutely no argument,
Right.
I almost have to say you deserve it now.
Right.
Because I believe that's how it works, I'm not, even if it doesn't benefit me, I'm not going to go against the way I believe the order should work. I need to take that fight. When I beat him, that gives me back my Eddie Alvarez loss and that loss. And so that all goes away. And now I have much stronger hand of cards to play.
Mm-hmm. So obviously word's been put out there. Maybe you fight him at 170. Is that
who's that?
Conor.
Conor. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna pass this opportunity up for. But we want to fight for a 155-pound title.
Right.
The only way that would work is because it's Conor McGregor.
What are you walking around at now?
Oh, I don't know, 180. Yeah, I'm not a 170-pounder.
Right.
But he's trying to get every advantage that he can.
I think he needs to fight Donald.
It's not that I'm a bigger risk, you'd say. And all of us, you, me, Dana, all the fans, all the fighters needed him to win that fight.
Right.
Because he is a superstar, and we need him in the mix because he does great things for the sport. It brings a lot of attention. So I'm never going to hate on that.
Needed a warm up. I mean, they were talking about him fighting Frankie, and Frankie's going down to 135.
I mean, I was obviously biased. My only argument was you're talking about fighting for titles, and then you're fighting,
right, another weight
Cowboy
class.
coming off 2 losses. Who I just beat, and I'm right here ready to go. So that was my only, like, dude, I'm right here. What are you, like, why are you fighting him if I'm right here? I'm ready to go. And now, the last 3 guys I've knocked out, they've ended up fighting before me again.
Mm-hmm.
So, it just sucks. That part sucks.
Right. So who are the fighters you grow up on? Is there any fighters that you look to and you're just, or you meet?
Yeah,
or
my main, 2002 to 2007 was my, growing years, learning to become a fan of this sport. And Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz. At that time I was a wrestler, so I was
more the wrestling guys, yeah.
Biased towards the wrestlers, per se. Now I've become the opposite. But I think those are the two. I think Chuck and Matt were 2 big influences in my fighting career.
Yeah, I see Chuck a lot.
I remember when I was probably 16, Matt Hughes had just fought, and we were sitting with my uncle, and he was talking about how big of a badass he was. I was like, I guarantee I'd kick his ass. And he was like, there's no way, like, blah, blah, blah. And so then I knew there was something in me that I wanted to do it then, even though I had never necessarily thought about it, but I was like, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And so, yeah, just, again, culmination of events. It's weird how I went from there to here.
Right. So going back to Frankie's camp, when you came to spar with him, when you were here working with him, was there something that clicked that said, like, I should be in the UFC, working with these guys a little bit? Or
No, So my mindset and my plan is the same plan I try to give young guys now, is don't rush to the UFC, because, I think it's a mistake to go into the UFC and start at the minimum pay scale.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you want to make it to the top, they're always going to do something to, whether they don't necessarily want you to lose, but in a business sense, they want you to lose, because then you don't, I always look at this as tiers or steps or levels. Mm-hmm. Every time you win, you move up one tier. And every time you don't, you stay in the same tier. And they're trying to control, they don't let you jump up 2 tiers.
Right. Because
they want to, they don't want you to get there too fast, because then you're hitting tiers that aren't tiers, So I always in my mind, I thought it would be smart to try to get to the highest tier possible before I went to the UFC. And when I was making, $200,000 a fight at World Series, I was like,
you wouldn't have been doing that in the UFC.
Yeah, you're not doing that. Well, you're not. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the UFC at 10-10 or 8. At that time, it was probably 6-6, 8-8. No, I wouldn't. I would probably make it 30-30 right now.
Right.
35-35. Because, I wasn't ready, for one, to compete at the highest level until I got there. You always think you're ready, but you're not.
You're always learning.
So that's always my thing to those guys, is take your time, don't rush. I never had that thought when I was in the World Series. I was just like, hell yeah,
right.
$120,000 to fight this guy? Okay, nice. I'll do that. And then once I became a free agent, that ended up helping, so much.
Yeah, the belt.
The belt, but it's also the exposure I got fighting on NBC, fighting on NBC Sports, being a champion, having all those finishes. A lot of things played into why I'm getting paid so much, and how come I was able to jump tiers.
Right. Yeah. You get a fight with.
I know guys that were 14-0 with 14 decisions, and they're still fighting on the local scene, because this is not what we're doing here.
Right.
As much as you think that's what it is, this is not what it is. It is entertainment. And luckily, the way I fight is so entertaining.
Absolutely.
I concur.
So what's your thing? What are you thinking after fighting? I know it's probably years and years away, but any thoughts on what you want to do next?
I mean, ultimately it has a lot to do with my success in the sport. Mm-hmm. My success in the sport translates over to the amount of money I can acquire, and the amount of money I can acquire really was going to determine the steps that I take in the future. Right now, I'm a partial founder of an equipment company, ONX Sports, founded by the CEO and the founder is Trevor Wittman, my coach. We make MMA equipment. So that's what we've been doing for 3 years now. Like when you said earlier, business people and their mindset, it's very similar. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in the process. And you're gonna fail, and you can't be okay with it, but you have to understand that that's part of the process.
Absolutely.
So learning it through a different aspect now has been fun too.
Yeah, but you've had that mental side of it, and you can see it, and hey, whatever. I'll just go out there, learn it. If you could be a businessman, because again,
Well, in the business means I'm the guy that says why. They all talk about something, I'm like, all right, but why that way? Like why? So I'm just the bad guy pretty much. Which I think you need one of those.
No, you do.
I'm not trying to be the bad guy, but I'm just saying why are we doing it that way? Why can't we? Is there another way? So that's really what I'm in there for.
Yeah, well, I think that helps. I mean, accountability is key in business, and being able to answer the why, and maybe get that different perspective and say, I didn't think about that. So why release a product and then get that feedback a year or two later after you put all that money into design and manufacturing?
It's most certainly a growing process.
Right.
Learning, growing, failing. It sucks, but it's
what you learn from it.
Yeah, it's fun sitting in the meetings, listening to the conversations, learning the lingo, convertible notes. What the hell is that? Bridge round, seeds round. It's fun.
So you guys are taking on investors, I guess, from the lingo you're dropping?
Yeah, we are. Yep.
Very cool. So that's a growing company. So let's talk about that. I mean, what do they actually manufacture?
So my coach Trevor, if you don't know, he's been in the game for I think 19 years now. He started in boxing and then moved over to MMA in like the early 2003, I think. And he's coached some of the highest level athletes there are. He's had, I think I was the 18th world champion, including boxing.
Oh wow!
Shane Carwin, Rose Namajunas, Rashad Evans. GSP worked with him, but he didn't work with him to get that belt. So that's not his, or not his, but he wasn't part of that necessarily. But the other ones he was, and it started with him trying to create equipment for him. He started making coaches equipment, pads, because taking shots from Shane Carwin. Oh my God. And although I'm a small guy, I do hit harder than most 55-pounders, and even when I hold pads for someone, I'm like, how do people do this? Like, this hurts. Yeah. And so for him, he's been doing it for over 20 some years now. So his forearms, his hands, his fingers, all those started
take a beating,
giving him problems, and so he started to create equipment. And he's an artist. He can make, he does it. He started in his basement with his mom's sewing machine, started making his own equipment. Once that went out, other coaches started seeing it. Other coaches wanted to put orders in, and then before we knew it, we were a year behind in orders. Oh, wow. Stacked up and a year out. And then he started, coaching athletes through all those years. You get to really understand what is creating the problem and what can be a solution. And ultimately the easiest way to break it down is, in fighting, 75% of injuries occur in training, and 25% or so occur in fighting. NFL, NHL are the complete opposite. They have 20% in practice and 80% in competition. And the reason being is because in our mind, it has a big part of the equipment. The equipment, there's no, so in NHL, in NFL, there's case studies every year on the equipment and on the viability of the product. If it's working, what's not working about it. There's never ever been one case study in MMA or boxing. If you want to make a boxing glove or a headgear, you make it, you put it on the market, you can sell it. You don't have to go through any kind of standards, any kind of testing, nothing. So
yeah, when you're dealing with high level
and
athletes.
At the end of the day, like MMA fighters are training in boxing gear or kickboxing gear. There's no MMA gear. So things like our boxing glove, we have a internal strapping system. It makes an X across the back of your hand. It has two straps on a Velcro. So you tighten those,
right? So they
and
pop.
That X, it takes away the dead space and it adds structure or adds support to the back of your hand. So we call it a wrapless glove. You don't have to use a hand wrap because the hand wrap is essentially built into the glove. Our shin guards, we have. So right now we're going around measuring all the UFC fighters. Right now our marketing strategy, we're going to put our fight kit on all UFC fighters, the influencers. And so we have a 3D body scanner. We scan their whole body. And then guys, so if you think about it, guys like Tim Means, guys like Ben Rothwell, guys like Deron Wynn, that's a middleweight, but he's 5'7", or he's really short. So him and Tim Means fight the same weight class. One's 6'2", one's 5'8".
Right, but they got the same gear.
But they got the same gear. So then he orders the large and he orders the large because he's too thin or he's too thick to wear a medium, but he's way too short to wear a large. And then Tim Means is too thin to wear a large, but he's way too long to wear a medium. And so we can build custom size. We take your shin length, we take your shoe size, and then we give you a shin guard. This is size, the length of your shin. The foot, it comes in two separate pieces. So your foot, you're gonna tie it on like a shoe,
piece and then a shin piece.
And so it's gonna come in your shoe size and your shin length. It's gonna have a knee pad attached to it that swivels. So whenever I bend my knee, it's not sliding on and off my knee, because that's a lot of what's causing cuts in practice is when people throw a kick, I drop down and your knee hits me. And even if you have a knee pad, it's usually slid down a little bit, and those top bones on top is what's causing the cuts. And then our headgear, which I think is our most innovative thing. It's if you think about Olympic boxing, they took the headgear out a couple years ago, and now they put it back in. the reason people wear headgear is to prevent cuts. You know, it's not for head protection. It's not protect your brain. It's not protect your head. It's to prevent from cuts. But they're putting something that weighs 20 ounces on their head.
Right.
A good example I like to use, if you have a kid, you go down to the park, you get on one of those kind of those
like a scooter or
what are those seats where you sit on that has a spring on the bottom and you go back and it kind of swings you back and forth, a pendulum kind of thing.
gosh.
And then you get on it, you're way heavier, you're
Right,
all the way
yeah,
around.
right.
And it's the same as a headgear. You know, what's causing concussions in fighting or head trauma is
the heaviness on your neck.
lineal damage. Lineal. It's not the impact. It's lineal. If you shake my head, that shakes my brain. So you add 20 ounces to your head. My neck is no longer used to carrying as much weight as you're punching. Puts blind spots in. So the shots you don't see are the ones that knock you out. You'll see that in fighting constantly.
Right.
So we designed a headgear it's a 1/4 of an inch thick on the side and 1/8 of an inch on the front. It has a really dense, specific foam that I cannot tell you.
Proprietary.
Yeah, proprietary foam inside that will absolutely absorb all of the energy and the impact. So it's super thin. It's very applicable for MMA. You can. It's like a wrestling headgear. Essentially, you can grapple with it. So you can spar on small glove days and still grapple with it and not get stuck in positions you would with a big old headgear. There's a lot of things that we're doing.
Very cool.
And then he makes coaching equipment. He makes these chest pads. He makes them all with his sewing machine right there in the office. It's crazy.
Still handmade?
Yeah, so we prototype everything. He prototypes it, I test it. Once me and him are okay with it, then we manufacture it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Anything else going on with you, or is that about it?
That's where I'm at every day.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you back in the ring, man. I mean, it's
that I'm looking forward to.
It's always a show. Me and my son watch. My son does a little Muay Thai. I don't think he's going to become a UFC fighter, but
Good
you
for
know
him.
what? It's
put him in the books.
yeah.
We'll put him in real estate, maybe.
And
He just need to defend himself.
yeah, that's
and
it.
be
You know what? It's
intelligent.
keep staying active too.
Sure.
Yeah, healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, healthy lifestyle. That's going to help him be a successful business person or whatever he chooses.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for everybody listening to the Finding Success show, and we'll see you soon.